What it do? What it do? What it do? How's
And every
everybody?
time I hear my voice on that song, it just sounds better and better.
Is that is
Just
that
just
what it
really
is?
proud of the work we put in on that.
You, yeah, man, you were a hell of an artist in the studio. You really
Hey,
were.
Sean, church announcement. I got a church announcement.
Okay.
You know what this season is, right?
What, Taurus season?
No, it's the preseason to Aries season. I don't really care whose season it is. Whatever sign is happening now, in about 17 days, it's Aries season.
Hey, man, I don't know how to break this to you,
Yeah.
but I really could care less about what's happening 17 days from now. Just
See, we're gonna be in Richmond. You do know that, right?
oh, in 17 days.
In about that time.
Is it 17 days? Okay.
No, it's a little more than that, but I was giving Sean a hard time.
I
Work
was
with
gonna
you.
say I take that back. I do care about what's going on in 17 days. I really do. How's everybody doing, man?
Doing
Wonderful.
great.
Yeah, y'all sound like you just came from a funeral.
All right, then.
Maybe it's me.
Thank you, Sean.
That's your jokes for the night?
Well,
Okay.
you know, I always got them, cocked. Robert, you color coordinated.
Yeah, I try.
Hey, man, I'm drinking. I know I'm normally a bourbon drinker, man. I'm drinking something called a dark and stormy. Kind of like I like my women's.
The stormy as well as dark.
Well,
Yeah, the stormy part.
depending on where the storm is happening, Robert. But it's actually dark rum, ginger beer, and bitters. And it's called a dark and stormy.
Yes, I've had a dark and stormy before.
Yeah, I've told you we're dark and stormy. I've been told you we're dark and stormy.
Well, I'm trying this. What is this?
Oh man, I know what that is. That's the old fashioned. That's the ready made old fashioned.
Yeah, you had this, right?
Yeah. I had it a
Okay.
couple of times. It's by Knob Creek.
Okay.
Man, I
Yeah.
sound like an alcoholic knowing it by the bottle that quick, don't
Pretty much.
Well, you
Yeah,
know,
well,
some things are true.
Yeah.
Hey man, before we go any further, I'm asking everybody to share the show. Don't just share it to your social media platform, but copy the URL and paste it into your social media platform. And then, of course, we cannot go any further without. Should I do that, Glenn? Can I send
Yeah.
some? Well, he
Yeah.
posted it himself, so I'm not breaking any news. But our beloved brother, the resident thespian male Rob, was rear-ended last night, and so he is resting. He suffered a concussion, and so of course, things like this, these lights and all of that, would not be very good for how he's currently feeling. And so we want to certainly send our blessings and prayers out to that brother. We know that he's got a great support system, and we know that he's being well taken care of, but that doesn't mean that our prayers shouldn't go right in there with the prayers and concerns that everybody else has. So get well, brother. We miss you in your normal spot, and hopefully, you'll be back on your feet and moving around again. So,
Yeah,
all
we
right,
need to
man.
give you
Cortez,
some
sir.
grief.
They didn't do an intro for you, man. Was Raj mad at you?
I don't know. He still remember toilet memories.
No, that was Robert. Remember,
That
you
was
sitting on the
Robert.
toilet, but
Oh,
when Roger likes somebody, he creates a really really fancy intro
No,
form.
when you're an alpha, he does it. He doesn't just create it. It's when you're an
Yeah,
alpha.
you kind of right. It's kind
Yeah,
of
that's what happens. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I'm about to be kicked off.
right. He says because Cortez has been here before.
Ah, so
Cortez.
you're family.
yes, sir.
Hey man, you've been here enough times that of course we all know your story and know what you do. But for the people that may not have caught you the times that you were on the show before, give us about 45 seconds, man, of who Cortez Mack is, what he does, who he pisses off. No, we'll get into that. And all of that good stuff.
Greetings. Appreciate to be on. I'm Cortez, indie filmmaker from Chicago. I piss off my wife a lot, and I'm glad to be on the show.
And just real briefly, Cortez, why do you piss off Well, not why. It's probably because you enjoy it. How do you piss off your wife a lot?
Easy. Tell her no.
Uh,
You
is
don't
that
gotta. You don't gotta tell your wife yes for everything.
is that a subject we we need to get into?
I deal with that matter every Thursday.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What's Thursday in your house?
Thursday nights I host a Married Man chat session, and we talk about all this marriage stuff. We get in deep.
Oh
You
wow.
know,
Okay.
I find that interesting, man. It almost sounds like a support group.
Oh
So,
yeah. Oh man. Many cats been
but Glenn, you know where I'm
broken.
going, right? I mean, so that makes me wonder, like, is marriage that heavy and stressful, man? That
That you need a support
that you need
group
a
for.
support group
Oh
for.
no, it's just like any other group, man. We chat about things, support each other businesses and endeavors. And there are some men who do need support via mental divorce. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good, man. I hate
I
that it's
need a
on
support
Thursday
group
night.
working with Rob and Sean. I haven't found the right one yet. I mean, AA is an option because they drive you to drink.
Yeah, well, hey,
You know,
man,
I've already got 2 support groups as a result of this show.
hey, man, I'm a drunk. I'm not an alcoholic because alcohol is going to the meetings. I'm not going to the meetings, so I'm just.
Well, all right.
Hey, man, we got a couple of relationship things to get into, man. But I wanted to talk about not the homework I gave y'all last week, but I wanted to talk about the professor, man, the Columbia professor. I posted this story last week. He was talking to his students about an African model. I want to say she was a model from somewhere in Africa. I need to pull it up to get all the details again. But at any rate, short version is he told the students that because of the color of her skin, she was a freak of nature. And somebody in the classroom clearly, took offense to it, and he ultimately got suspended. I don't know that he's been fired, but he at least got suspended. And my question becomes to you guys: what can we do? And I feel this way about judges, police officers, anybody that's in a position of authority. I don't think that we've taken that piece as serious as we. She's Sudanese, a Sudanese American model. Thank you. I don't think we've taken the where people are placed in life that can influence the masses, that are influencing them with garbage, with trash thoughts and ideas. It wasn't so much for me that this man said she was a freak of nature. This non-man of color said she was a freak of nature. What bothered me was that he was a university professor at Columbia, which means that for the last 10, 20 years or however long he's done that job, he's been in the position to pour into the minds of our young, best, and brightest. And he's somebody that thinks a dark-skinned woman is a freak of nature. That just makes me really uncomfortable. It has made me wonder how many times he said things in his class that somebody, just dismissed, didn't think it was worth reporting. And he actually, according to some of the things that I've read and seen, he actually believed it was a compliment to say that, So that kind of concerns me, man. I've always been a dude who feared running into the cop who wanted to be a cop since he was little, simply because he knew he could do stuff to black folk and not be held accountable. Or the judge that knew a long time ago he was going to sit in that seat and give very different sentences to people based on the hue of their skin. You know what I'm saying? So I maybe spend more time thinking about that as a reality than other people do. And so when this happened, it just kind of reminded me, man, that there are some people in some very serious, strategically placed, that can be doing a lot of damage, to the way young people think. So, Glenn, talk to me a little bit about that, man. What do you feel about that? Did you ever have those fears and concerns? How do you prepare young people for that reality? I mean, it's a lot to unpack, really.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and not having children, but like having godchildren who I try to influence in a positive way. It's really tough. This is an age of misinformation, and people in authority are some of the main arbiters of misinformation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to educate those in your circle that these are things you're going to encounter. The slights, the passive aggressive, or the microaggressions and things like that. That's just something that I hate to say, it's something we have to live with in this age. Because people are getting information from all the wrong places. Some people, the only news outlet that they get information from is Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, much like people think if they read something in a book, it makes it real.
It makes it real. Yeah.
You know.
But people think they read a post and it becomes real. How many times have you heard something that's totally outrageous and you do just a little research, a little, one Google, and you realize it's not true? Pictures that have come out that supposedly were of an incident or whatever, and it wasn't true.
Yeah, we've got that. We've got such a knee-jerk acceptance of information, which is why death reports and stuff can come out that aren't substantiated, and we're so quick to share it before we validate it. But Cortez, what do you think, man? I mean, could you imagine, man, coming through college, man, and you're in film school, and then you find out that a teacher, maybe a professor that you actually revere and think a whole lot of, thinks this about people that look like you. I mean, how would you navigate that? How would you, would you want to report it? Would you want to speak to somebody about it? What do you think you would feel about that? And before we move on, somebody has a phone that's on the desk vibrating or something, so you might want to move it because we can hear it vibrating. But go ahead.
Well, man, to be honest, by me sort of kind of being a different breed on this stuff, man, I don't hold back on that stuff, man. It's too late in the day to be coward and confront this stuff, man. This stuff is real, and all we dealing with is insecure people who've been privileged for so long and just focus on power. Therefore, they can control whatever they want to say and don't get, suffer the repercussions. But at the end of the day, I don't think we need to be afraid to speak our voices on these matters. Especially being adults and how they feeling free to say what they want to say. We should have the same perspective, say whatever we want to say in response to that. In most cases, I don't know if I'm gonna get y'all gonna call the FCC on me, but most cases, man, people are just stupid.
You probably will.
We so when there's bullying age from adults, and we just figure we can say anything and don't think nobody can defend themselves. But I'm gonna tell you what's amazing, and I'm gonna pass the mic. You notice people like that never confront the right people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? This young
Unless
lady,
you like that dude I saw in the bodega that got smacked in the face with a beer can. I saw that video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Every now and then they stumble upon the wrong one, but for the most part, you're absolutely right, Cortez. They know exactly where they can. It was a twisted T. My bad. They know exactly where they can share that kind of stuff and not, pay the ultimate price for it. So, and that goes to show you how mindful they are. The people that feel like that, you got to think. You got to think long and hard to be intentional about sharing hate in a space that ain't gonna get your ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just you gotta think about it. That's how you know it's not knee jerk. As people try to make it.
Yeah, but there's some ignorance out there. Cortez brought up a good point that some people don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know real information.
Yeah, well, that's that age-old adage, ignorance is bliss. Remember that? We used to hear it growing up. That's really what that is about.
And some people love living in bliss.
Yeah, I want to send a shout-out to our sister that's watching us from Tyler, Texas. I happen to see that in the thread. Robert, what did you think about that, man? How would you handle that? I mean, you've got children and grandchildren. If one of your kids came home and told you, that his professor said this dark-skinned model was a freak. Basically, you would pour a drink first, and
A loud one too. He'll pour a really
yeah,
loud drink.
Boy, you heard that. I meant
yeah,
to put you back on mute.
yeah. At least you're not doing that wheezing puppy laugh this week. That was driving me crazy last week.
Well, it's coming
It's
because I
I
just
figured
started
it
drinking.
was. I figured
So
it
here's a
was.
couple of things. I think that what's important is I would go up to the school and have a discussion with, the principal and others. But before I did that, I would reaffirm with my daughter, granddaughter, whomever, that I'm hearing an echo. That I'm hearing that everything is okay. That I reaffirm them that nothing's wrong with them, if that makes sense. The other thing I thought was really important, Sean. I do a mentoring with some grammar school kids. In fact, I gave them a book, one of our books, Lessons for the Little Boy, last month. And the topic that we talked about was showing respect for authority, or just respect overall. But in that, we talked about respecting authority. So I gave an example about respecting judges, police, and others. So it's kind of, it ties back with what you're talking about right now, because we are really trying to get young people at a young age to understand the importance of, respecting people, how they show respect if the police stop them, or any of those kind of things. I'm not sure if that answered your question,
Well,
but
what
I
becomes a
hope it
bigger
did.
question though is how are you teaching them to feel disrespect? Like it's very easy to teach your kid to be respectful. It becomes a bit of a different lesson when you are trying to teach them what to do in the face of disrespect. Because oftentimes, and I think we may have talked about this for some reason last week, but we were talking about the currency or the equity that it costs you to respond to certain things. And so, sometimes that looks more like writing a letter. Sometimes that looks more like contacting the university head, or you know what I'm saying, or handling it that way. We always, I don't say we always, but we tend to, in our macho, feelings, we tend to first think that we need to take somebody's head off, and I will. My brother always makes me laugh because my family says my brother will write a letter on your ass. He's an attorney, so he's a letter writing dude. Before he thinks to try to put his hands on you, he wants to write a letter to the person that can impact the
Make a
whole way you
difference.
exist. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but how would you navigate that space? Not so much teaching them. We all know that we're going to meet so much disrespect. It's second nature to teach our young people about respect. But how do you field the disrespect you get? Robert, yeah, it's for you.
Oh, okay. So here's the deal. I think that again, we have to teach our children. We have to teach ourselves, in terms of what respect looks like, or what we should expect from someone. It's kind of, the old adage, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. That still is relevant today. So I think that, for my children as well as my grandchildren, you know, we've got to model some things for them, but then we have to make it safe for them to come tell us what has happened so that we can address it. And so I don't think that we want to, Sean. We see too much of violence that's taking place now in schools and universities, where people are going home and getting their guns and they're coming back because they felt some kind of way by something that somebody said to them at school. So let's kind of walk people through how to be conservative in their approach, or ask, or stand up in this case and say, maybe I misunderstood what you said about me.
Or being measured in your response. To your point, writing a letter is an effective tool depending on where the microaggression came from. I've written plenty of letters um, that have carried weight because I knew who to write it to, knew what to say, knew what kind of leverage I had in writing it, and got results from it. And I'm not saying that works in every situation, but it does when it's a professional situation or it's a public situation where somebody disrespects you for whatever reason. And we know it could be race, it could be class, it could be a lot of different reasons. But you have to learn, and I think we have a responsibility to teach a younger generation how to respond. Not to say just keep your head down and don't say anything. It's more of here's how you respond in different situations, how you prepare yourself for life, and understanding that life is not fair. I would love to tell younger people that it is, but it's not. And you've got to be able to ride those waves of fairness and unfairness every time.
And I try to be compassionate too regarding the seat that you're sitting in. Like I know that a lot of time law enforcement gets a rough rap. But then sometimes I think about the law enforcement that is assigned to a really gritty part of the city, and that's all they see and that's all they experience. And so just human frailty, makes me have more compassion for them because I feel like, they could fall into thinking that this is all that exists with people that look like me. You know what I'm saying? And so at least I have an understanding of where the fractured thinking may come from. But when we're talking about a college professor, that disturbs me, because typically, the most racist of us are the undereducated. And so now here you are, you're not only educated, but you're teaching others.
Yeah, but racism is about ignorance.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
about ignorance and upbringing a lot of
Hmm.
times. And I remember we had a conversation about you can't be racist if you're poor, if you're another race. No, there's some of the poorest people around, the trashiest people that are the biggest racists.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah,
those
it's not
people
about that.
well, those people think that you can only be racist if you're benefiting from systemic racism, and
Right,
systemic racism doesn't encompass all of racism. It's
right.
certainly a big thing, but it's not the only way racism can look.
Right, and bigotry supersedes that. You can be a bigot. You don't have to be a racist. You can be a bigot. You can like your people if they're in your circle, but you
Hmm.
can hate everybody else. The bigotry and ignorance combined, and I think that's what happened with that professor. He
Yeah.
thought it was okay because probably in his circle he had said that.
It is okay,
Don't
you're
think
right.
it, don't think it was the first time he had ever said it.
Or
Like the
Glenn,
kid be
or
shot.
Glenn, he had said it in front of a person of color who didn't
Who
object to it.
didn't? Who didn't repel it? Exactly.
And so here's a question, guys. Do we think that because, they're professors, they're principals, they're teachers, that they're any different? I mean, or are we holding them to a higher standard? I had this conversation 2 days ago because they have, their doctorates and other things. Are we giving them a
I
pass because of that?
that
Or
Cortez looked like
sounds
he had a bullet cocked, so I'm gonna wait till him and Glenn answer before I give mine. But I have a very, very clear answer about what I think about that.
I have a different expectation of somebody who has an education than I do of somebody who is just off the street. You, at some level of your life, should have diversity and have worked with people that are of different cultures and understand the sensitivities around that.
okay.
Cortez.
Listen, once again, the FCC might be on your
Uh,
speed dial,
he
but
started with listen. That's scary right there. It's
yeah,
already dangerous.
I don't give these people a pass because they're all human. People have behind all these titles, these degrees, and we act like they're supposed to be different. These people are in these circles and their minds, they're thinking whatever they want to think, and eventually this stuff will come out. And there are times when this stuff come out that we are so gullible at times that they're speaking this stuff in front of our face, and we just he with them.
So here's my thing. I don't. I'm definitely never gonna give anybody a pass.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even on the table. You never get a pass, right? But it's much like um, the way I feel when I find out a cop did some wrong. You've put yourself in a position where your uniform alone is supposed to tell me you're someone I can trust. Your
Mm-hmm.
uniform alone, I'm supposed to identify with my own protection and my own safety. And so it's kind of like, I hate to say this, but it's kind of like, sleeping with your best friend, with your girl's best friend. you know, you can't put yourself in a situation where you have given me every reason to think you are someone that I can let my guard down with and trust you, and then you disrespect that trust. And the reason that it's different is because you elected this job, you elected this role. I can't expect that out of somebody I meet at Target, in the line at Target. I don't know you. You got on a Metallica T-shirt, and I got on a Prince T-shirt. You know, we don't know anything about each other, but you can choose a career path that suggests that you are a forward-thinking person or that you believe in the protection of humanity. And so, to me, when you violate them in that way, it's a little bit different. You know, you see a cop coming, you're supposed to feel safe. Now, I can say this, and I don't speak for all of black male existence. I know very few black men that feel comfortable with a cop car behind them. But that's just the history of our relationship with them. But as a whole, when you see somebody that is a police officer, or you see a fireman, you see these people that have elected to be a part of the saving of humanity when they're in their worst moments, it's much more disappointing when you find out that they are fractured that way, because that means the people that you thought were protecting you are really your adversaries. And that's psychologically, that can be really, really screwed up for people.
Alrighty.
We wrote a book about it.
Want to hear it?
Like to read it? Here you go.
We sure did. All right, man. It's almost 9:30, man, and you know we know how fast it goes. I want to ask you guys a question. I want to start with Cortez, since every time he opens his mouth, he thinks the people coming to get him, or
I know. Cortez
he gonna say something that's so counter to what everybody believes, you know, that they coming to get him.
You worse than Sean about that. Sean, I always think he's gonna get fired every week. You know, and we be trying to fire him, but he's got a little confident now.
But get ready, Cortez. It's a married question.
That's what that means.
Actually, it's not. Actually, it's a relationship question. To be honest with you, Cortez is the most equipped to answer this question. How long you been married, brother?
Okay.
All right. Should we just start off,
Robert?
I'll be right back.
Robert, since you want to go there with it, and you want to give us this moment for entertainment,
I'll be right back.
Cortez, how long you been married?
Over 22 years.
How many times you been married?
Once.
Robert, you married right now?
So you got jokes tonight.
Oh, I'm just saying, you all right? So,
but collectively, Rob had some years in it. He collected.
Yes.
It's like winning titles. You count the entirety of all of your title belt reigns.
That's right. You all these trophies.
They all
go together.
Now be clear, but be clear though. If I was gonna sit down and talk to somebody, I might want to sit down and talk to Rob first, because he's seen more in that space. You know, my brother used to call it. Cortez got what my brother used to call the married man's Playboy magazine. It's the same woman every month.
Man, y'all be making up some stuff on me. Listen, that's terrible.
That's bad.
Listen,
bad,
marriage is current now. Y'all got to get out the 80s and the 70s now.
Let the record show in 2010, Sean Mason flipped the script and the complaints started flowing.
Man, you know how many complaints we got. Complaints don't scare me no more. So the question is,
in office.
The question is, Cortez, what's something you used to believe about relationships that you no longer believe about relationships?
Oh man. I don't want to sort of kind of offend your people who are watching.
Don't worry, man. We've been doing this almost 2 years. We have offended every walk of life.
All right. Here I go. That this whole marriage relationship thing is not about the woman.
Wow.
Expound, my brother.
It's not about the woman. Part of it is, and the other part is about the man. And we need to stop all this foolishness about spending all our time to make sure the woman is good when we're losing out on our emotions, mental, and all these things, and have to spend all this time recovering it back. Even with children, even with house, cars, we spend so much time giving to the woman, our wives. And the only thing we begging to get back in return is that
The big piece of chicken.
oops, is the cookies. See, the cookies is a part of life, but now we done made it a compromise.
Hey
That's
man,
So
I
you're
don't,
saying cookies are being? Are you
I
saying
don't
there's
dis-
negotiation for cookies, Cortez? You saying
Are you talking about chocolate chip cookies?
No,
It can be
Oh,
chocolate,
no.
it can be white vanilla, it can be fortune cookies. It don't even matter.
Raisin, macadamia nuts?
Hey,
Okay.
if it's raisins in them cookies, I don't want them.
butter cookies go good with French vanilla ice cream.
I'm just saying.
We're talking about cookies and how you do it.
If I see raisins in that
Cookies and
particular
cream?
cookie,
Listen,
Cookies
however you
and
want to
cream,
call it.
I'm passing.
chocolate, really dark
Can't
chocolate
be
cookies.
raisins
Caramel.
or cashews
Caramel.
or none
Y'all-
of that in that particular cookie. Those are sugar cookies.
I like macadamia nuts.
Enjoy
but I
y'all
also like,
flavors.
you know.
Yeah, Robert, I don't think you where I am with it. But anyway,
I like the variety.
hey Cortez, I want to hear from the other guys, but I do. I understand where you're at. I mean, I understand what you mean. It's funny because I thought about that. Big Mel is watching. Hey man, we love and miss you. Of course, we shouted you out at the top of the show, man, and we want you to hurry up and get better, man. It's funny, Cortez, because I thought about that earlier today, man, because I was thinking about how much emphasis is put on the bride on the day of the wedding. And it made me wonder, yeah, we know you're not supposed to be, and I'm sure these lights and stuff are giving you headaches.
Yeah,
And we're going to let the nurse know that
yeah,
you're
we're gonna
doing
call
that.
your nurse, Mel.
We're going to call the nurse and let her know.
That's how much that's how much he loves the show. He's going against doctor's orders just to kick it with us for a minute. But you know, and I wonder, man, if that is not part of the programming, Cortez, that exists in marriage itself. I mean, when you think about that on the day of, it's so much about her and so little about him. You can't be surprised that the culture of the thing becomes about her and less about him, because that's, you know, they say the way things start often is the way they end, you know. And so maybe that's part of the dysfunction of the way brides are celebrated. Not so much that they shouldn't be celebrated as much, but that maybe grooms should be celebrated to a greater degree, because you're absolutely right. It does. But also though that's a problem that exists way past marriage as well, in terms of
course,
the compassion that men are offered and the understanding that men are offered, which actually I'm going to cover on the next thing that we talk about. So that was a great segue to it. But what about you, Glenn? What do you think? What do you feel differently about relationships now than you used to?
One thing that love isn't enough. That understanding and communication are so key. That you can be super compatible with somebody on a physical nature and not be compatible at all with them intellectually, which I think men know that already. We just never admit it sometimes because she's too fine to admit it. But fineness only gets you so far, because I can only look at you for a finite period of time. So just really learning about that. And it's interesting what you guys said about marriage, because no man ever goes, ooh, I can't wait till my wedding. I am going to wear the flyest tux.
That would be me though. That would be me though. Yeah,
That tux, this last one was expensive, brother. But go ahead on. Go ahead.
I'm trying to steal the show. If I ever walk down the aisle, I'm trying to steal it. They're gonna leave talking about
Dolce and Gabbana. Come on. Go ahead.
You see that picture of Kevin Hart at the ball, and his tuxedo had tails, and he had a dude holding it from the back. That's how I'm gonna be.
That's how you gonna be?
I'm bringing an assistant to my wedding to carry my tails.
I'm not lying. I saw a Hugo Boss tux that, you know what? I was like, wow, that's me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that. I love them clothes.
I don't know what
anyway,
she wearing.
So look,
miniskirt. I don't care. You can wear a miniskirt. I'm wearing a Hugo Boss tux.
let me tell you something. Then, Robert, I want to hear from you on that question. Believe it or not, man, even since my 20s, I always had an outfit in mind for my wedding. Way back in my 20s. Now, it has changed, and not a lot, but it has
You
changed.
gonna wear a hat? I know you're gonna wear a hat, right?
No.
You're not gonna wear a hat? Sean's gonna
Maybe
come
at the
down the
reception.
aisle. Sean's gonna come down the aisle. I know lately lies. That's what he gonna do. He gonna do a little step. Well, you know, he gonna have his cane. Nope.
Hey, that's the first time I can really tell her you don't have to be alone.
Yeah, exactly. You just that could be your wedding song. Hey,
Hey, man,
hey.
call me a cornball, dude. I've
Promotional idea.
always had my for years, man. I wanted to wear a white or winter white formal jacket with a crisp white shirt and a black bow tie and a white pocket square and black slacks, and then it changed to gray. And currently, my wedding outfit, should I ever get there, is the same ensemble, but with just a really pastel looking taupe tuxedo jacket with the black slacks, white
Sweet.
shirt, black.
Okay.
Real simple, real simple. Ain't gotta
Come
be
on,
over cool.
Cortez.
I'm sorry. I just saw a comment, and I just want to respond to
Oh boy.
somebody saying that marriage, relationships should be about efforts and not work. Listen,
Uh-oh.
we put in work for everything else.
That's
Why
right.
when it get to marriage and relationships, we want to slack off and expect it to work? Come on, y'all, stop it. This is why we fail in relationships. We work out our health, we work for our checks, and then we get to relationships. Oh, we slack. We don't need to put that much. That's why we failing in our communities with this stuff. We ain't putting in the work.
That must have come from the production team because I can't find
Listen,
it.
I saw a
No,
flash
that-
twice.
Jamie,
that was
And
janky.
Glenn, if you don't
Yes,
mind,
sir.
I want to add something what you said. We always talk about communication. One of the biggest part we forget about in relation is listening. We so focused on communication that just keep communicating, but we don't listen to each other. Sometimes we need to just
Listening,
stop.
man,
But
listening
people don't
is-
believe that listening is part of communication. People think
Exactly.
communication is just talking.
or it's effective listening.
Yeah,
There you go.
active
You know,
listening.
so
Active
so
listening.
let's go with with that.
Right.
So let me just jump in real quick. My Aries brother, I gotta say, I think that love in action can work to support a marriage.
That's
So,
true.
so what happens is, as Cortez already said, we get into these marriages, and I had a destination wedding last time, so that Dolce
Man, you just gave
Gabbana.
me the funniest joke, but I'm not.
But no, don't.
Don't do
That's
it.
all right. I'll get you later.
Robert. I want you to know. I want you to.
I'm gonna
mark it
get you in
down.
the green
Get
room.
later,
That's
buddy.
okay. But I just want to say that love and action, communication, effective communication, and listening can help a relationship as well as a marriage. A godly based marriage can help to navigate us through rough waters.
Right. What Robert is saying, I'm gonna translate. What Robert is saying is
You Leonard, his angry translator.
you haven't loved until you've loved an Aries.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. In honor of Aries, it's Aries preseason right now.
Somehow that wasn't what I was.
In about 18 days, it'll be Aries season, but we just don't celebrate now. Whatever your sign is, that don't really matter because you just are the warm-up act to the main event. Okay, just remember that. You are the local act that they play when New Edition comes to town. We're New Edition. You
The
local
clown
act.
that comes out first.
Yeah, you the cousin of the promoter. That's what you are. And they gave you 10 minutes to do your 2 songs. We're the main event. That's what Aries season is like.
That's what.
Just letting y'all know. Carry on, Sean.
Hey,
Carry on with the show.
But Cortez, I'll say this before I answer the question. And this is more directed at Robert.
Ooh.
I don't think.
Well, you know Robert's about 3 drinks in now, Sean. You playing with fire, son. You playing with fire,
I'm
son.
waiting for the asthmatic puppy to show up. I don't, like Glenn said, I don't think love is enough. I do think that it's not enough, but it is essential. It's got to be present. Without it, you don't have a chance.
It's got to be the foundation.
It's got to be
That's the whole point.
House. It can't be the whole house.
It can't be the whole house, but it's definitely got to be the
It's
foundation.
got to be the foundation.
Yeah.
Can we do a poll? Everybody that's on the
POLE or
feed.
POLL?
It's
Gotta be
work,
specific.
Cortez. To cousin Cortez's point, it's work.
But
It's
hold up,
definitely
gentlemen. But let me toss this perspective out there if I can. And I hear this in a lot of marriage functions and things. Why do we always stray away from the word love? How can we minimize that so much?
You know why?
But
Because
hold on. Forget about us being hurt because at times we hurt people.
Yep. Hurt people hurt people.
Right. But the problem is we don't use the part of love to heal us neither. We're always talking about being careful, avoiding being hurt, our feelings, But then again, we always still in this place where I can't trust love.
well,
Because most people who are
here's
hurt
why,
are
Cortez. Here's why, Cortez.
Everybody gets hurt though, but we also got to deal with the part of healing.
But you're hurt by somebody who claims to love you.
And they claim to be godly.
There go, Robert.
Here's why. Love, as beautiful as it is, does not exist in a perfect state all the time. So you can't rely on love when love comes with a dysfunction of abuse, or love comes with a dysfunction of drinking, or love comes with a dysfunction. Because somebody cheats on somebody or gets drunk and comes home and acts a fool, it doesn't mean that they don't love the person. It means that there's another part of a dysfunction that they can't control. And so in that space, love is not going to make you continue to go out and get a job to feed your family. You can lay on the sofa and be miserable and love your family and watch them suffer. So love doesn't give you those things. It's an underbelly. It's a foundation, but you need some things to pile on top of love. And love should be the driving force.
Love should be on top.
Yeah, love should be on the bottom. It should be on top. Halle Berry said it. Love should have brought you home.
Let me tell you why I don't think love should be on top.
If
everything else is under love, then when you strip it off or you don't feel in love that day, then you've got nothing underneath that. So for me, love is the box spring in the back. In the old days, it's the box spring on the bed. The bed don't sleep right if you don't have a box spring on it. You need the love underneath it, undergirding and supporting. And so on the days when you ain't as cute to me, on the days that you don't know how to talk to me, on the days
and vice versa,
and vice versa, and the days that the sound of me licking stamps makes you want to kick me off a building, you still love me despite that. So for me, and we can agree to disagree. That's part of.
Just stop licking stamps, okay? Let's just do that. You know, they got things for that.
Sometimes it's just breathing. They make you sick. Here you come breathing again. Out of nowhere.
But can I say this? Can I
say that I hate the way she licks stamps?
But you know, I think the whole thing. We talked about this before, Sean, in terms of love and foundation.
Did I do it again, TJ? I'm used to it.
So Cortez, you may agree or you may disagree, but I think that what we need to do is figure out love should be up here, like should be up here, because what happens is in marriages and relationships, people are not going to love each other every day.
That's my point.
If we can like each other at the foundational level, we've got room to grow, because people don't even really understand how to really love.
Exactly.
There are various phases of love. We can talk about agape. We can go into the Greek word, the Greek aspect of love. And then let's be honest, we're all not loving each other the way we should be loving. We're not loving from a perfect perspective. But if we can like from a starting point, we've got some room to grow. And this is the last thing I'm going to say on this, and then I'm going to go back to drinking in a second, is it takes work to make relationships and marriages work. And it's just like going to, work out, at the at the place.
The
You
gym.
know,
It's
The
been
gym.
that
It's
long
not
since
the
you
gym.
worked out that you can't even think of the word.
at the gym. That's what it was. At the gym. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Glenn. So I say this because I was married to someone who said love was hard, and I used to explain to them, love is hard and it takes work. She said it takes work. But I said it's the same thing, just like yoga, just like, Zumba, just like working out, just like walking. All of those things take work
Right.
and effort. And if you do it, you'll be successful the more you put into it. And then we'll be like Cortez. 20 something years, Cortez?
22.
22.
Great job. Love
There you
is
go.
love is
I'm
a
done.
lot easier when the person loves themselves. Which
Absolutely.
Woody just said as well. Because if you don't love yourself, if you're with somebody that doesn't love themselves, you are never going to break through to them because they don't have that love for themselves. They don't have that love for themselves, and they don't have that self-respect. They don't have that understanding of themselves. I got better at relationships the more I learned more about myself and understood what I liked and what I didn't like and what I could walk away from and what I could deal with and what kept me from arguing, what keeps me from fighting, what keeps my smart ass mouth from going off when it shouldn't, stuff like that. I learned how to filter and everything else. So I'm better at it. That's why I always have the best version of me now, because before I was just out there as like young, whatever. It's just whatever. I just thought it was a battle versus a tag team. So I know how to do the wrestling reference.
I know
Right
too
there.
many people that love each other, but decided that the best thing for them was to be apart. Didn't
Because they
mean that
stopped
they didn't
liking
love
each other.
But my point is the love didn't go anywhere. So the love piece is not something that can sustain you through all things. It's got to be present, but it can't
Right.
sustain you through all things. I have walked away from people that I love to this day. Think they're amazing people. That I didn't think that they were the people for me, and I still have legitimate love for them. So the presence of love isn't the answer, but it's also something that has to be there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but here's the thing though with love. Love is considered unconditional, and what we have done with it is made it conditional. Now we got all these rules and regulations, the limitations, these problems, these hurts. We got all these bullet points of why we can't, and have every excuse about love. But yet we folk love crack, folk love whatever they love. But when it comes to loving a person, we always have an
But
excuse.
if we gonna go there with it, Cortez, we have to
Let's
go
go,
there with
baby.
it. No.
Come on, bring it
This
on.
ain't a challenge for you. I know you
No.
always up for a good fight.
No,
Now
it's not
that
a
ain't
challenge.
what
I mean, we
I'm saying.
chatting. The cave.
What I'm saying is, when people put it in the pocket of the pocket they wanted to fit in, we'll put it like that.
That's
Like for
insecurity.
example, like no, I saw a lady today, and I've gotten to where now I really try not to. I don't do the Facebook thread fight no more. I used to see some stuff that I thought was just dumb as hell, and it would be hard for me to not jump in and try to show them where I thought it was dysfunctional or not fair. Now I just kind of read it and go, okay, at least I know kind of who you are, and it's not worth me getting in there because you can't change the world. They say, I wouldn't smack somebody that was said something stupid most of the time because they're gonna wake up stupid tomorrow. Me smacking them ain't gonna change it. So, but the lady said, and I'm paraphrasing, she said, no woman. And that's part of the problem, Cortez, is that we're always pitted against each other. Women are always dogging men. Men are always speaking about what the woman did. We haven't figured out that we're on the same team yet. And we don't use our words to support the fact that we're on the same team. We use our words to divide the teams more often. But the lady said, ain't no woman should be financially, emotionally, spiritually struggling with a grown ass man laying next to her. That was what the post said. And so I said, okay, well, if the man that she was with fell into a valley in his life, should he leave her?
Well,
Because that's the way it sounds. It sounds like the day that the man can't cover everything and be everything and walk in the house with his cape, he's no longer the man that you chose. So, which to me speaks to the fact that we don't get to not be perfect. We don't get to fail. We don't get to have struggles. We don't get any of that because all of our worth is based on that. Meanwhile, and again, I'm not trying to create a gender debate. We have enough of them, but that's just a pressure that women don't experience. I mean, how many millions of movies have they made and made money off of the woman on her back that had nothing rescued by the man that had everything? We program that thought,
The fairy tale.
yeah, that fairy tale into the minds of everybody. And so then you have, women walking out and going, okay, well, if he can't do this for me, he can't do that for me. He can't pull me out of my, out of my muck and mire and make it magical for me. Then he's not a good man and he's not worthy.
You're talking about conditions, and I know Cortez, you can back up what I'm about to say, but it's really about conditions. We're coming into relationships broken already, and again, we're talking about partnerships that we should have when we are establishing these relationships. What strength do you have? Great, you have that strength. I'm weak in that area. You also talked about some other things, Sean, with respects that when we go to church or when we're doing biblical things together, that's us doing things and growing in a relationship towards God, which is not perfect, but the fact that we're doing this should mean something. It should, and it's not about dollars and cents, because that's something that we can measure. So yeah, when we lose our jobs as men, that might be a problem. But what happens if the woman loses her job? It's
No,
it's all of those things. But man, trying to convince people that we're on the same team is hard if they've not seen it demonstrated in previous relationships and things like that. We make this whole relationship and marriage stuff much more complicated
Yes,
than
we
it
do.
needs to be.
Yes, we do.
And again, God's word has not changed, from when it was written before. We have to come together, and marriages are really, really, for the purpose of that, is to honor God. That's really what it's to draw people to God based off of what they see in us.
Robert, fellas, on Tuesday, my wife just celebrated my birthday. Took me to breakfast and did the spa thing all day. Did well, cards, and even bought me beggar's pizza at the end of the day.
That's what I'm talking about, beggars.
That was Tuesday. Where we at? Thursday. This morning, I said one word and it created an argument. And listen, and listen, and it's okay because after 22 years, it's okay. Reason being, she was having a bad morning, whatever the case may be, and it had nothing to do with me. But in all that, it doesn't take away how much I still love her. And we get to this point that we find these petty, immature, elementary things as grown adults and say, I can't do it. And that's where we keep going wrong because we keep finding the failures in all this stuff. And I'm not saying we're the only one, but we're leading the pack in dysfunctional relationships. And we're starting to be proud of it. But
some people are. They so quick to tell you how they'll dismiss somebody or yeah.
I'm gonna say my last thing and that's it.
You ain't got a limit, man. You ain't got a
No,
limit.
the doors of the church will be open in a minute. Go ahead and do your thing.
I got you, but here's the problem. We start passing this down to the younger generation. And we keep this generational curse going. And then we wonder why younger boys and young girls out here, multiple babies by multiple daddies, because we're not setting the example.
Yeah, but we've actually talked about that too in the sense that, and I always cite Bud on the Cosby Show. Your fractured thinking comes from somewhere. It comes from you being taught it, you being shown it, and so you have to become strong in your own to look at something the way it's been given to you for years and years and go, that's not right. That's not the right way to do that. That's not the right way to process it. But it's easier to rely on what you've seen and just act like that's the normal and proper thing to do, and not challenge it. If you think back about Bud on that show, he would come into Cosby house and say some of the craziest stuff, and they would go, "Where did you get this?" And he would say, "My brother." And we all wish we could one day see this brother that was, because he was ruining Bud. Nobody wanted to see Bud as a grown man, because we knew he was going to be messed up. You stole Robert, 2 minutes from me, Raj. But hey, man, love y'all. This has been awesome. As always, Big Mel, we miss you, of course, and we want you to get better. If you tuned in late, Mel was in an accident. He's okay. He was hit from behind, and he's suffering with a concussion. And so the doctors told him that, the lights and mechanical devices, electronic devices, he didn't need to fool with. They'll probably give him a headache. So he's home resting, and we're praying for him and pulling for him, and looking forward to him being back in his proper place in the next week or two. So, hey man, don't forget we got a big event coming up in April 2nd in Petersburg, Virginia. If you need more information, you can get with any of us and get the Eventbrite information, so you can buy tickets and come down there and hang out with us. There you go. It's going to be an evening with the Cave. I'm supposed to do a little singing that night as well. So it's going to be a good
Sean,
time.
Rob, and I are going to sing. We have
That's right.
I write the rhymes. Rob plays the sax.
It's 4 edition.
I heard you and Rob singing backup, because when y'all sing, people back up.
Oh,
see, I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna get you.
But you out of time, and we still didn't get to the homework assignment. So we're gonna do the homework assignment next week. Cortez, don't go nowhere. Meet us back in the green room. We always love having you on.
I'll get him, people. It's okay. I'll get Tron in a minute.
Aries season begins soon, people. Bring your gifts to me and Rob. Champagne for me, liquor for Rob. That's all.
Can I get some bourbon? Camped
out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.